Today we begin Valmiki Ramayana, in which of the 6 skandhas we have the first skandha called this Bala Kanda. The first portion is called Bala Kanda, and in Bala Kanda section, the first 100 verses of Valmiki Ramayana is a very special portion that we call Samkshepa Ramayana. In one of Sage Narada's travels, being a Trilokagami, one who moved in the 3 worlds, one point when he comes and meets Sage Valmiki, Sage Valmiki asks him a question, and that question in which he asked about the ideal human being, who would we call a successful human being, an ideal human being, was a question asked by Sage Valmiki to Narada, Sage Narada. And Sage Narada very willingly describes that one human being as none other than Lord Sri Rama. And that description of Lord Rama, not only physical description, his inner qualities, and then a brief summary of his life story is presented in these 100 verses. Suchaka Shabda Om begins with Om. Om Tapaswadhyaya Niratam. Any text in this tradition will have a beginning in Om, because Om represents the auspicious. Om represents the divine. And without opening your work with Om, there is no promise of a auspicious completion. And therefore, for this blessing, a very brief acknowledgement, prayer, prarthana, and presenting an auspicious beginning, we have Omkara being mentioned here. And with that, the verse goes on to say, Tapasvi Valmikihi. Valmiki, who was a tapasvi. Every word I am going to explain in Valmiki Ramayana. It's a Adi Kavya. It is the first poetry of humanity, and it really requires its due respect, and every word, every letter, every sound matters here. And so here Valmiki, you know who Valmiki was. We don't want to think of his pre-Valmiki days. His early days we don't want to think of. It's an auspicious beginning. He is already a sage who has recited Ramanama so much for weeks and months and years without moving that this anthill grew around him. It was when Sage Narada, crossing the same way after many years, he heard from inside this anthill, Rama, 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 Rama sound. He broke this open, and there emerged who? None other than this beautiful devotee, this pure soul, this sage, transformed being, and since then he was called Valmiki. And so this tapasvi, who is a tapasvi? A person of penance. What else does Valmiki represent? From being a dacoit, a robber, a person can get so totally transformed into a new human being in one lifetime. That is good enough for us to tell us, well, we have never been dacoits and thieves. We can also, little bit here and there, we have some limitations, but we can also transform ourselves if such focused devotion and penance and sacrifice is within us. And therefore here Sage Valmiki is described as a tapasvi, a person of great penance. Tapasvi Valmikihi paripapracha. Prapapracha meaning asked. Asked. It is a unique form here. Well, grammatical analysis will come in a separate session, but here all we need to know is he asked, paripapracha. Asked to whom? He asked Narada. Well, Narada, okay, but who was Narada? He asked Narada a question. Who was this Narada? Narada was Muni Pungavam. Muni Pungavam means Munishu Shreshtham, the one who was exalted among all sages. India was known for its rishis. Rishis, and the female rishi was called Rishika. Those were the days, olden days, centuries ago. In the earlier yugas, there were rishis and rishikas who were the intellectuals, the scientists, the researchers, the philosophers, the people of penance, the people who set about the knowledge traditions of this great land. They were the rishis and the rishikas of Bharat. And so here, among all the rishis, who was the exalted rishi? Muni Pungavam is Sage Narada. And therefore Muni Pungavam, whose Varam, whose Shreshtham, who is so exalted. And who was he? He is called Vagvidam Varam. Vagvid refers to Veda. Veda, the one who knew Veda. So Vacham Veti iti Vagvid, the one who knows Vacham, Vak. Veda has come to us in the form of sounds and words, right? Veda is a revelation, the oldest scriptures of humanity. And these revelations came to us how? How did they come to us? They came to us in the form of sounds. And therefore speech, that means words. And those original words or sounds of creation is what forms the Veda. And Vagvid means the one who knows the Veda. So Vacham Veti, the one who knows the Veda. And how does he know the Veda? We also know, we can chant a few suktams here and there. Well, come on. He knows the Veda in and out. Exalted, brilliant. He is brilliant in his knowledge of the Veda. And therefore, Vagvidam Varam Shreshtham. Brilliant is his knowledge of the Veda. Whose knowledge? Narada, Sage Narada. And how did he become like that? How was he so brilliant in his knowledge? Because he had two qualities with him. Tapaswadhyaya niratam. There is a lot of lessons for us in this sentence itself. Tapaswadhyaya niratam. Tapaswadhyayoho nirataha. The one who is ever engaged. Niratam means who is always committed, single-pointedly committed to what? To his swadhyaya, to his study. It with a discipline, tapas, anashnan, swadhyaya niratam. Without eating, having taken a bath, lighting a lamp, we sit and we create a receptivity for learning. And Narada Muni, this great sage, was a great tapasvi. Like Sage Valmiki, his teacher, he asked Sage Narada, who was also a great tapasvi, and therefore tapasvi Valmikihi tapaswadhyaya niratam vagvidam varam muni pungavam naradam paripapracha. He asked him. What did he ask him? This is what he asked him. The question for us, it is a set of verses. Verses 2 to 5 are the questions that he asked Narada.